Welcome to EDUC 590 Supervision and Staff Development. This is your week number 5 introduction. We will go through our week number 4 flashback. I also have some information on the DPI licensure and clarification of the roles of the reading teacher and the reading specialist. We also will take a look at a few of the Wisconsin statutes and laws regarding reading specialists and those regarding curriculum as well. I also will provide a brief introduction on professional development, since that is going to be our next focus, and then go through week number 5 activities with you. The big question today later on is who is going to win Super Bowl 50, the Broncos or the Panthers? At my kids' school, they took a poll. About 300 students felt that the Broncos were going to win, and 100 felt that the Panthers would come out on top. So if you're watching it at all, who are you going to root for? At our house, we're pretty split. Half of the family wants the Broncos to win, since it may be Peyton's last hurrah, and the other half are rooting for Cam and the Panthers, since they seem to have been overlooked all year long. So enjoy if you're watching the Super Bowl later on today. Week number 4 flashback. This past week, you participated in a different kind of discussion forum entitled Save the Last Word for Me. Some great quotes and passages were posted, and others enlightened you with their thoughts on your chosen topic. By the end of today, you'll need to make sure to come full circle and share your last word. I have stayed out of the discussion about the quotes as I wanted the conversations to be authentic and allow each of you to have free reign with your last word. My plan is to comment more on the last words each of you shares. My 6th graders are planning their quotes for this activity with their novels in face-to-face discussions they'll be having next week. Unlike our professional discussions, many times their comments fall flat. I did not see that happening with any of you. Some very thoughtful comments arose out of this activity. Our other activity was a reflection on leaders as the agents of change. Skimming over those reflections, I noticed a pattern of learners focusing on their literacy leaders and classroom teachers. The piece about being mentally tough resonated with many of you, especially since we are undergoing pressure from so many different directions and feel some negativity that accompanies it. There is stress that comes with being a literacy leader and trying to ensure that the right kind of change happens. Hopefully, you were able to glean some ideas from these resources to keep yourself sane and as stress-free as possible. We've been having a lot of discussions on literacy leaders, and sometimes we find discrepancies and confusion when it comes to the different roles of the reading teacher and the specialist. This was something that came to light in our literacy leader discussion forum. Thought it would be appropriate to clarify what the specific duties are for each of these educators and share what the DPI has to say about these roles. Things are changing very fast in education. Notice that already the license numbers have changed, and these have been in flux over the last few years. First, the DPI dropped the 3 in the 17 license and then decided to put it back on, and now they've added the 1 and the 3. To be consistent then, they added the 1 to the 316 reading teacher license. Seems a little confusing, and I still go back to referring to the different licenses as 317 and 316. But just be aware that when you do see it, we are going to have that 1 in the front of it. The 1316 reading teacher licensure is more about working with students and teachers as a support system, since we know that early intervention is the best. Many districts want their elementary teachers to be 1316 certified. So the reading teacher basically works with students. So you need to have your reading teacher license if you are teaching reading for more than 1 class per day. So for example, I teach solely reading, and I teach 5 sections of reading. Therefore, I need to have my 1316 license in order to be the reading teacher at my school. On Alaska Middle, which is a school district around my area, they have a reading class, but each class is taught by a different teacher. So none of those teachers need to have their 1316 license because they only teach 1 section of reading. So that is one way that they were able to get around requiring the reading teacher certification for all of their teachers. At our high school, West Salem High School, The teachers in the ELA programs have an emphasis in English, which enables them to fill that position. But this past year, they added a basic reading class, as well as that teacher would also teach the interventions at the high school. So therefore, the high school teacher that they hired had to have their reading teacher 1316 license in order to fulfill that role. You can also see that the reading teacher license is required for any teacher in the Title I program, which is some of the positions that we have in our group here. And also if they teach a reading recovery program, if not part of a self-contained classroom. The reading specialist license, your 1316 license, has more of an emphasis on administration and on professional development. So the reading specialist is not really working with students as much as they used to in the past. The reading specialist is more working with teachers and the reading program within a school district administrators as a resource and a support system. I have attached to this week's activities a PDF file of the Wisconsin education standards. What you do need to take particular note, if you are not aware of these as of yet, is the standard C, which is about remedial reading, your interventions, and also standard B, which is about staff development. Standard C is of particular note because of the reading specialist requirements listed there. And then standard B speaks a bit about the collaborative nature that about PD planning and the execution that it should have. Sometimes those two pieces of the state statute are not very well known, so please make sure to know about these, because as reading specialists and literacy leaders, we do need to know about those as well. Our next slide is going to show some of the state statutes. And it is kind of small because I copied and pasted it and wanted it to try to fit my slide as best it could. So this is just a small portion of the statutes in Wisconsin, but it is important for us to know. There are laws that are directly related to reading specialists and what all schools need to have in place. Feel free to pause at this point to look at the law further, or you can access the link on our Moodle page for this week. Curriculum. Curriculum maps are sometimes ones that teachers write, but many of us may not really understand that it is part of DPI and the law. That was one that I was a little unfamiliar with. We always wrote them, but I didn't know that it was by law that everybody had to have one. Also, when I went in and I was exploring this further, there's a computer literacy component integrated into instruction in grades K through 12, as well as an environmental education component. So there is a plan that DPI has as far as the curriculum maps are concerned. So make sure to check out that information about curriculum under Standard K located in the PDF file on our Moodle page. Professional development, that is going to be the next topic that we're going to tackle here in this course. So to initiate some thought about professional development, there are two different videos to watch for this week in regards to different ways to look at professional development. Think about what you have experienced in your educational career, which professional developments worked for you and which didn't, and what was the cause for the success and the root of the downfalls of what you have encountered. There are varying models for professional development. These are times and places. There are times and places for each model of professional development. And just like in classrooms with students, diverse needs, our teachers have diverse needs as well. So mixing up the models can help us get information to those who need it the most in the best possible format. Kind of think of different scenarios in which you might use these different models: the individual model, the school-wide model, and the group model. So now what? This presentation, along with the posted videos and readings, will support our discussion boards for the week. I've included the links from the presentation to the body of the week's introduction, as well as a PDF format of the Wisconsin Education Standards. There are a few videos to watch on staff development as we continue to explore this topic. The videos and introductory presentations will be the focus of the first discussion board. As you can see in RTI Articles Q&A discussion forum, located about midway on the list of activities and resources, will focus on articles centering on assessment and RTI. This discussion board will be run a little differently than the first forum from this week. It will be set up like the Q&A forum from week number 2 about chapter 1 of our text. In this type of forum, it is one where you are provided with a prompt to respond to. And after you post, you're given that 30-minute grace period until you can see the entire thread. It also differs from our other forums since you are only required to post your thoughts and not necessarily need to reply to each other's posts. I do encourage you to read what others have posted even after you have written your initial post and reply if you feel compelled to, but understand that it isn't mandatory. So you have first the PowerPoint video, staff development, and presentation discussion forum. And then you have the RTI articles discussion. So there are 3 articles to read about RTI that you will use in the discussion forum. Lastly, we will continue to dive into our text, this time fast forwarding ahead to chapter 18. Don't forget to continue to plan out your decision makers interview, which is due March 4th. As I mentioned last week, our week number 8 pans out to probably be a work week for that final assignment. Happy reading and continue to do great things.